Hey, good morning, everybody. TRS Live Podcast kicking off with Kyle Carpenter and myself, Lance. It looks a little different this morning because
Better looking, I think.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm sure that's what everybody was thinking. So Brian and Matt are not here for the show today, so we're filling in.
Well,
and
Matt might be.
Matt might be making an appearance. He'll probably come
He's
running
taking
in
that
here.
long drive in.
He'll come running in here 100 miles an hour with probably a bunch of topics because we didn't have topics.
We got nothing.
We didn't have topics.
We're trying to reach out to Adam Sandler to get question answered that Lance had, but
So
I don't think we're going to hear back.
the pre-show discussion was in all the Adam Sandler movies, his girlfriend or wife or whatever on screen, her name is always started with double V's. And like, why is that? Is that weird?
I'm sure it's intentional
Veronica
with Adam
Vaughn.
Sandler.
Andy,
Hey, welcome back, Andy.
Andy, you got to do me a quick Google search because we're just talking about this right now. So
Andy,
All right, what's up?
Adam Sandler.
look up Adam Sandler movies and find the lead woman roles in every one of them and tell me what their names are, because I'm pretty sure they all start with double V's. Veronica Vaughn.
All of
Ricky
them,
Delacour.
most of them actually do. There's a
Yeah.
couple that don't.
Okay, so there are a couple that don't.
That's some useless knowledge stuff right there when you know that, right?
It is, but like somebody was talking about it the other day and I caught the tail end of it and I'm like, that is interesting. Like that's just something that I want to Google and find out why it's like that. I don't know. That's just how
The
my brain,
curious minds of
that's how
Kyle
my
and
brain
Lance,
works.
that's
But
what we're
this
gonna call
is like
for
at 10 o'clock at night, ready to go to bed, get on my phone and start like Googling that kind of stuff.
We got Veronica Vaughn, Virginia Bennett,
Yep. That was the
Babe Bennett,
Double B.
Babe Bennett.
Catherine, Brandy.
What okay. So maybe it's not double V's. Maybe there's more than I thought. You're saying Bennett with a B, not a V, right? Not Bennett. That's not
The first one was Virginia Bennett. The
V-
second
with a
one
V,
was
though, you're
with
saying.
a V.
Oh, okay. So that's a double V.
But then the next one is Babe Bennett with a B, double B.
Oh. Somebody's so creative he couldn't come up with.
I sent the
Another double
Snapchat
B.
out asking bunch of friends what we should talk about today, and Kyler, Billy, if you're out there watching, Billy, he said forward-facing sonar and how it's going to affect youth tournaments in the future.
Youth tournaments.
That's a pretty good one, actually.
So my thoughts on forward-facing sonar are for somebody that maybe didn't grow up in a very progressive or a very intense fishing background. I went casually, right? I went with my dad. I'd go to ponds, rivers, all this kind of stuff. I didn't learn from a young age how to look at a sonar or how to look at a graph and determine what's under the water. So I've been learning the last couple of years more and more. I got a boat, started like going out there and just figuring it out, reading maps, articles, whatever. Now that I have forward-facing sonar, it really paints the whole picture for me as somebody who didn't really know the ins and outs of technology and electronics at the beginning.
Right.
Trots
for
is
me,
in the chat.
So for me, I think it's great. I mean, I don't feel like it's cheating because I'm not a high level tournament angler. I'm not keeping fish. I'm just doing it for fun, catch them, release them, whatever. Like I think it's wonderful, and it's a good thing for youth kids to get involved with. It keeps them interested. It keeps.
I think it's a double-edged sword for the youth. Being involved in some youth events in the past, if you get linked with, like, there's a lot of youth tournaments where parents drop their kids off, and somebody like myself is a boat captain for the day for them. They bring their own tackle. If I have that on my boat, then they get to experience it, right?
Yep.
But if their parents or he fishes with their ex-angler fishes with their parents or aunt, uncle, whatever, and they don't have that, they could be at a disadvantage to some of the other younger anglers
100%.
where their parents or whoever they fish do have that stuff. So, I mean, it's no different than in the adult life, right? If I have it and you don't, I have the upper edge, where that person, that youth may get pushed away from the sport because they feel like they can't compete because they don't have it and maybe they can't afford it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. I guess
It's a double-edged sword of it, right? For
Right.
youth.
Yep.
Just thinking youth-wise, right? Like they don't have the ability to go buy it and have the boat and in the way they want it.
yeah, that's definitely a valid point, and it's you don't see that in a lot of other sports that these kids are used to. Like if you play basketball, you don't get
Every kid's got a basketball.
every kid's got a
There's
basketball.
hoops
Every kid-
everywhere to
Yep.
go shoot.
Right. Yep.
You know, that kid may not experience that forward-facing sonar every time he goes fishing.
But you could make the argument if it's a kid that has the resources to go to camps, go to training, whatever,
Correct.
go out there and get one-on-one, like, do they have the disadvantage? Should that not be allowed? I mean,
Right.
with all these things, it's a razor's edge. It could keep on going,
And it all started with just regular colored sonar.
Yeah.
You know, it's when that came out, that changed the industry. Then, you know, it started with paper, you know, paper graphs. And then, you know, when color came out, I remember like, holy crap, this boat I'm looking at has color sonar on it. This thing's going to change my life.
I remember my dad actually telling me about when he had a boat and lived out in Sheboygan, and he used to go salmon fishing, and he was like, yeah, I remember the paper coming off the graph and it would show whatever.
The rances.
And I can't even fathom that. That is so like World War One like technology to me, like Morse code getting sent through, like, but that's a progression that we see with everything, right? So I think if you would go out and make a bold statement and say that some technology is not allowed anymore, unless there's really hard evidence that this is detrimental to the sport, I don't think you can do it. Because if we're not progressing, it's like the horse, now we have cars. It's like CD, now we have, like, we have to keep on progressing. Like, otherwise, you know.
And the sport's going to keep progressing. Like, we don't, when, you know, LiveScope first came out with the first transducer, everybody was blown away. Minds were blown. Now they're on their 4th or 5th, just in Garmin, you know, the 4th upgrade of that.
Do you know a lot about the new one that just came out? Like, is that geared towards more like ocean fishing?
Yeah, it's more offshore. It's made for farther distance in a deeper depth.
Okay.
So there's actually a couple of friends of mine had the 62 transducer. And they're getting rid of it because it's not what they thought it was going to be for the price. Because they're not fishing 200 feet of water and they don't need to see 1,000 feet out.
Okay.
You know?
So if you're a Sturgeon Bay guy, though, is there a market for it up there? If you're fishing that kind of water,
I would say Lake Michigan, maybe.
Yeah.
But, you know, if local guides are fishing Door County, the Door County side of it, you know, the Green Bay side of it, I really don't know if there's an advantage there or not.
So
I haven't seen it. A friend of mine, Lewis, says it's awesome. He said it's the best transducer he's ever seen, which he's probably 100% correct. Well, but I get in 3 feet of water, how much value does it have?
Right.
To me?
But I would think in like 20 feet of water, like your return is still got to be, is it better with that transducer than it is with the
you would
34
have to assume.
right now? Yeah, I guess you just have to see it. And
it's going to be interesting to see what Lowrance does too. While we're down this wormhole of forward facing sonar, is they completely changed. Like, they got a whole new system that I believe it's out. I don't know if it's available yet to the public, but they announced it. So I know guys running the ranches, I don't think it's compatible with the older units, and you have to have a different box. And so it's a full upgrade.
That's how they get you. Then you see the market flooded with all these other ones.
Right.
And, I mean, again, too, as this technology advances and all that kind of other stuff, it becomes more affordable for the everyday fisher. Now that, you know, anybody that wants to go out and fish, I should say, the everyday angler. So if you go out and start looking on the Craigslist and the marketplaces and the Facebook marketplaces, you can get a good deal on
I got a couple other topics rolling in here. Kyler has another one. You know, in a hypothetical recession in the fishing industry, who's going to take it the worst? Is it going to be boat manufacturers, tackle companies, you know, mom and pop shops, like, you know, obviously TRS, like in that recession in the fishing industry, how does that look?
I would think it's got to start top down, right? Your highest ticket items, like, you're not going to go out and spend $100,000 on a boat.
Right.
If inflation goes up, like an 8% increase in inflation hits a lot harder on $100,000 than it does on a $399 bait, you know?
Right.
So yeah, you would definitely think it would start at that level, but trickle down theory, like, it's economics, like it's going to hit everywhere, especially in the you know, the outdoor industry. If it's a hobby, like, those are the things that usually get.
I think we're kind of seeing it already with the used bass boat market. I remember 2008 vaguely, like, trying to remember how that was with the boat market starting at the top, right? And it wasn't good. I remember boats just dropping in price, you know, used boat values. And in the last 2 years, we saw used boat values go through the roof, like insane. Boats that are 15, 20 years old pulling money more than what they were even bought for new, you know, in some cases. And it's pretty insane. And now you know, couple of my friends are trying to sell their boats right now, guys that swap every other year or whatever,
Yep.
and it's leveled right off where they're not even getting a call.
Yeah.
So is that the start of it? Is it, I don't know, is the market finally peaked and now it's plateaued and everybody has bought? Is it the season? But
it's always scarier in the now. But I think if you would look back at anything throughout history, like trends and markets and depressions and recessions and all this kind of stuff, if you look at it from the big picture, I mean, it's usually trending upward. So, I mean, I think it might not get better in the near future, but eventually we're going to come out of it.
yeah,
And I don't think fishing is going anywhere. I think the sport has grown in the last 10 years exponentially.
well, I think the downturn you see a little bit right now is everybody went fishing during COVID because that's what you could do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The fishing and hunting and fishing industry skyrocketed. You know, saw gains and gains and double gains year over year over them couple of years, and now you're seeing that a lot of them people, okay, I'm back to life. Life is busy.
Yep.
That hobby's getting put aside. I'm not going to be spending the money like I was.
Yep.
Or they're just not going to do it at all.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think obviously living in Wisconsin and being as close to like the Reel Shot and all that stuff that I've been for the years, ice fishing, I don't think it's affected as hard. I think people are going to still want to come out, go ice fishing. It's if you're not used to it, if you're from down south, like it's a phenomenon up here, like you wouldn't understand, but we've always noticed it here. It gives the everyday angler a chance to go out and fish because all you need is some basic equipment. You don't need an expensive boat. You don't need a tow truck. You don't need any of this kind of stuff. You can go out and drive out on the lake. You can walk out on the lake and you can fish some of these spots that you were just looking at all summer. Now you can actually get out there and do it. So I don't think it's going to be affected as hard. I'm still expecting a pretty good ice season, especially like with how about rentals, especially I was going to say, especially with how like the Reel Shot's looking right now. I mean,
Are you guys able to read that okay?
A really good selection of stuff going on.
I can't see the screen in front of me. If I turn around, I can read it. I'm just blind.
All right.
Context
Yeah,
don't
that's
work.
the comments up there for you guys.
It says one thing. Oh, so we're talking about sonar again, right? One thing it does for kids, if used as a teaching tool, is learning to read water. Yeah, exactly, Daryl. That was
what you were talking about. Is
that's been the biggest thing for me. And I was going to mention too, being on my boat, I'm a little nervous, right? I bought a nice bass boat the last year, so I've been getting out on the water with that, and I'm a little nervous, right? It's nicer than anything I've had. But one thing sonar lets me do is it lets me know when those steep breaks are coming up quick. Like you can actually see it. So it actually lets me kind of take care of my equipment a little bit better. I got that forward. I can look out 60 feet and I know, okay, that break's coming up quick. Be careful.
it helps you slow yourself down too.
Oh yeah.
Like fishing on the trolling motor, I've been using it, I don't know, 5 years maybe now. And the one thing I noticed is compared to like 360,
Yep.
if you don't know how to read your 360, you don't know that it's getting shallower or getting deeper. Once you know how to read that, you do. With live scope, you know for a fact, 100%.
Oh yeah.
You're coming up on
Yep.
2 inches of water, 60 feet in front of you. Where
Yep.
that could help in dirty water, especially that could help slow you down and take a look at that break more. You know, like Daryl just said, help learn that water, read that water a little better.
Yeah, the learning curve to understand what you're seeing with forward-facing sonar is so much quicker than I think even guys still now with their side scan and mega, you know, like all that kind of stuff. How many articles are out there on how to read your side scan? Tons of them. I think some people still don't understand it that I'm in the boat with.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, like even there's sometimes I have questions like, what did I just see? Like, was that, you know, the shadowing and kind of the everything down there? Was that a fish? Was that not a fish? Was that a rock? Like I can identify structure really well with it, but I'm not to the point where I can pick out individual fish on there. Like when I'm fishing with you, we've gone a couple times when you said there's fish there, you saw it on the side and yeah, that was, I need to get to that point. So
yeah, it's once you learn it, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, joking or whatever, hey, you got to show me how to use my live scope. It's really not a matter of me showing you or teaching you how to use it. You just need to use it. You just need to turn it on, mess with the settings every time you go out.
that's the biggest
and
thing.
you're not going to break it.
Right.
You can always hit default and go back to default, right? Just turn it on and use it. Put yourself up against where you know a seawaller is or a dock or whatever, and just sit there and look at that and break that down and be like, okay, now I know I'm looking at the right post, left post. Now I'm looking through the dock. That's the best way to learn it. is to just use it.
Yep.
Just turn it on and use it.
Yep.
And them units are good enough where you could just turn it on and use it on the settings it's on.
Oh yeah.
And it's way better than not having it.
100%.
You know,
right out of the box, like when I turned mine on, I was instantly like happy, satisfied with it. I'm like, this is awesome.
the things that I think are cool with, you know, where the industry is always going forward is all the different mounts for them.
Oh,
you know, you
yeah,
see the
that's true.
turrets, you see guys, you know, like Terry Van Landen, he took an old trolling motor
Mm-hmm.
bracket and mounted that on the front of his boat next to his trolling motor, and that's where his live scope is.
Oh yeah.
So he runs that on a pedal, or it's like a power drive trolling motor. So he has a pedal or the remote.
Yep.
And he spins it manually, like he made his own turret.
Oh really?
It's
a cool
really
idea.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's bulky on the front of the boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it serves that purpose.
Which is a great thing to do. And I see that with a lot of like guys I know that walleye fish. They don't necessarily like having that transducer mounted on their trolling motor because they're spot locked all the
Right.
time in deep water. They're fishing a specific pie line or a break or something like that where they're fishing out of the back of the boat or whatever. So they want that flexibility to let that you call it the RoboCop, but their motor
Yep.
do whatever it wants to do it, but they want to be dialed in exactly where they're casting it to. So, I mean, do you ever see, we don't see that very much in the bass world. Do you think we're going to see that now with more people? Because one thing that I've noticed in the bass world, and we talked about this a little bit more, and you watch some of the other events out there and stuff, like I think the adaptation of using finesse tactics and spinning reels and being able to drop shot things, I think it's more important to be familiar with your forward facing sonar if you're doing those techniques, is just my opinion.
Yep.
Do you see like more bass guys maybe wanting a transducer that they could mount around their boat and it's just not fixed to their trolling motor anymore?
I think the advantage of having that is great, is like a huge advantage. For me as a bass fisherman, you know, bass to walleye type use, right?
Mm-hmm.
I run and gun a lot.
Yep.
You know, like bass guys, I'm not saying walleye guys sit in one spot or just troll or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
we move, like in a tournament day, I might move 40, 50 times a day, right? Up and down with troll motor, move.
Yep.
Where having to pick that turret up and having to pick that, you know, having it on a rod or whatever
Yep.
is just not worth the time to me, where I know I can, even if I'm spot locked, I can take spot lock off for 5 seconds, spin that pedal around, see what, as long as I know I'm still throwing at the right stuff,
Yep.
spot lock back down and continue on.
Yep.
Now, having one in the back of the boat or at the console or somewhere to do that would be awesome. Like when 360 first came out, their mount was like a power pole. It was off the back of the boat and it ran down under
yeah.
the boat.
Yeah, I remember that.
It deployed underneath.
Yep.
And I think a lot of guys like that, but they didn't like the bulkiness of it, having to run that back up and, you know, everything that went along with that. I think they still even offer it. Is that part of it. It's just another thing they have to remember to do, where I know if I put a rod pull down at the side of the boat, I'm going to pick that troll motor up, start my boat, take off one day, and I'm going to tear it off because I'm going to forget about it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Until I train myself to use it. I think once I would have it and actually use it. And another thing is bass boats, in a walleye boat, there's more space to have them things.
Yes.
Like in the back deck of my bass boat, it's hard to have a graph back there.
Yep.
And then, you know, have that pole and mount it. Yeah, we could adapt something and figure it out for sure. But it's like not the known way, right?
Right.
You know, you
Yep.
fish off the front of the boat 99% of the time. And
Yeah, well, and a lot of the walleye boats will have the rails that come up the side,
Yep.
and then you got every mount known to man that you can slide and be very versatile that way. And you don't get that luxury with a bass boat. You kind of just have what you have. You
like
know?
last year for the head-to-head event on the Fox River, Robert Blosser and Joe Okada fished together, and neither one of their big boats were ready for the year. So they used one of their smaller, you
Yep.
know, inland water boats, like their little fun boats for the Wisconsin River.
Yep,
They had 3 live scope units in that boat.
that's crazy.
3, and I think it was like a 17-foot boat, if I remember correctly. My
Yeah.
dad was with him as a marshal, and
I think I remember
he
that.
couldn't believe the amount of technology that was in that boat.
Yep,
And that's the difference, the different mindset, where
Yep.
walleye guys want that, and they look at it constantly. Everywhere they look, they want to be able to see
Yep.
what's underneath them. Like
Yep.
I noticed Max Wilson rigging his new boat. He has, and a lot of the walleye guys do. They have a graph on the back deck
Yep.
dedicated just to live scope.
And I'm sure people would argue this with me, but once I got my live scope, I noticed I was doing a lot more looking than I was doing fishing, and even spots I had confidence in. If I didn't see that fish right away, and I know that I'm not an expert on it. And there's probably a bunch of people out there that would say, you know what, you just need more time with it. You got to dial it in. They can see a fish in any scenario. There's a lot of times I didn't see the fish, but I still would catch a fish. You know?
Hey, there's Matt.
Oh, Matt's joining the party.
Coming in fashionably late. What's up, guys?
Here he is. We're just having a little fishing talk.
I'm enjoying the conversation with you guys. I've been listening.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I've been listening.
We got big shoes to fill.
No, you don't. You guys are doing a phenomenal
Yeah,
job.
we got
Try.
big shoes to fill.
But yeah, and Matt can jump in this conversation talking about forward-facing sonars. You know, the original question was, how is it going to positively or negatively affect children?
Yep.
As sitting here talking through all this, like you gave the basketball analogy where maybe that parent has the ability to send their kid to one-on-one camps with whoever, whatever pro player or whatever, football, same thing. I mean, I really don't see a negative long-term to it.
Yeah, there's advantages in everything in life. I mean, it's
absolutely.
But that's like what we have to deal with in every aspect. So if you can't figure out how to do it, well, there's not going to be anybody out there that's going to be like, well, I feel sorry for you. I mean, that's kind of the mentality that we want to get away from. Like, everybody gets a trophy. No, they figured out this way. If you're down, if you didn't get dealt the right hand, well, figure out how to make the right moves and get up there and be on that level.
Well, and how often is it,
short of it,
like, we even heard this with head-to-head. It's like, well, we need to have a tournament without this technology. Why? Why do we have to do that? Like, that's just... I mean, that would be a fun aspect to do a tournament without it, but why? Like, that's just the way the world works right now. Like, it's,
for the entertainment aspect of it, I 100% want people to be catching fish on every cast. I want that.
Some of the best shots we got were when we zoomed in on the graph and it showed the fish chasing the baits. Well, even when we did that Smalley show, like that was crazy the amount of fish we saw.
But another thing that it showed us, like we've done a lot of shows, and the majority, 90 or more of the field has had this technology. It's not a guarantee. It's not guaranteed that you're going to catch the fish. So there's still that sportsman aspect.
Yep.
There's still that, hey, I got to put my time in. I got to be a good angler. I need to have more in my pocket than just this technology.
I can tell you, it frustrates you. It frustrates me more than it doesn't, to be honest, because it helps me locate fish so much faster. Like I had a scenario this fall in an area where we shot that show, seeing the exact same things we saw in the past, like it is every year.
Yep.
And I could not get a bite. I fished through. I saw thousands of bass on my live scope, and 100% no other bass. Cannot get a bite. Just frustrating beyond belief. Yep. And another cool thing, I was fishing a rock pile this fall as well, where we were there 4 or 5 hours and we didn't see a fish. When they get bellied right tight to the bottom, they're really hard to see.
Oh yeah.
The sun fell it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. The sun was falling down, to the west, and all of a sudden them fish just all together just went woof, right off the bottom, and boom, 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 started biting.
Yeah. Here's a question, Kyle and Lance. Maybe you can help me with this too. Are you noticing? Because how often too did we see like those feeding patterns, those feeding trends? Right, we saw the windows, the bite windows.
It's a thing.
Oh,
it's
sure.
100%. But having that ability to see that on your graph. I mean, let's just be honest with you. Everybody's hustling and bustling, crazy lifestyles, stuff. Where these graphs are just making you more efficient, whether you're a tournament angler or you're a meat angler, it just makes your day on the water more efficient, right? Yep. Some people just like to go fishing. Do you ever have a day where you turn your stuff off? Probably not.
I do. When I'm fishing,
I
know I'm fishing shallow and it's, there's days, but there's not many.
Not many, but it's like you want to make the best use of your time, and if that helps you make the best use of your time, the thing about it is like you could go 180 with this whole conversation and be like, you ain't got to keep every fish you catch. That's the deal.
Well, that's the negative effect of life.
That's the negative effect, right? Like, that's where I think that it gets such a bad, omen on it, is because it makes people fill the freezer so much faster and so much more efficiently. Yep. That's where the conversation, I think, should be held. Is it fair? Well, that's up to you to decide. Right. But you ain't got to keep every fish that you catch.
You ain't got to keep.
You ain't got to keep. You ain't got it. That's the truth, though. I mean, it's like,
it's 100%.
Don't be greedy.
So in a way, like I always joke that, and I've heard this from some of my buddies that fish the walleye world that don't like trolling that trolling's not fishing, it's harvesting. Well, ice fishing is going to turn into harvesting because live scope's going to allow everybody to run around that lake everywhere, no matter how windy or cold it is that day.
Yep.
Unlike during the summer where you can only fish certain parts of the lake because of weather, and fish and catch fish.
Yeah, and that's where all these different theories and arguments come into place. It depends what kind of angler you are, right? Like if you're somebody that wants to go out and fill the freezer and then is going to go home, fill the freezer, and then go back out later that day and fill the freezer again, then it's negative. But if you're like somebody like, I don't know, like yourself, Kyle, and I don't remember, I haven't kept a lot of fish in the last whatever years. I just like to go out and fish.
I like cutting the cheeks out of walleyes and let them go.
See, Lance even has a graph and he still can't catch them. So that just goes to show.
Some people you just can't help.
Some days I can't, but like,
but
one thing again with the technology and with what I could say with forward-facing sonar is there's been days that I've gone out fishing without that technology and I've gotten frustrated. I'm like, what am I doing out here? Whatever.
Oh, right.
Now that I have it, it keeps me engaged. It keeps me out on the water longer. Even my bad days, I feel like I'm learning something, even on the bad days, that I wasn't learning that much on, on other days on the water. And that keeps you out there talking with your buddy. You're outside. You're not doing whatever else.
Well, it doesn't always turn into how many fish you caught that day, right?
Yep.
A lot of us lose sight of that. And as I grow older, right? Older, wiser type BS.
Older.
Just older, less hair. You realize that time spent with buddies or parents or whoever you're fishing with is worth way more than any hook set that you ever have.
Yeah.
Is it fun to set the hook 100 times a day? Absolutely.
Damn right it is.
Does it add to that day? Absolutely. But Lance, you were up there with us for this. Matt kind of bitched out on it on us, but we went up north with a group of buddies.
Typical trots.
And we just, we went fishing.
Yep.
There's no competition involved. We're all like, one person's catching them, we're yelling across the lake, and then next thing you know, 3 boats could pretty much all be in one boat. But that's the fun part of that, right? Is I kind of got off the track of the forward-facing sonar, but spending that time is worth way more than catching any fish.
Yep.
And
100%.
Having that forward-facing sonar for you to be able to say, hey, Dad, check this out. Look at all these fish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't catch them. We need to figure out how to catch them, but there they are. They're right in front of us. It's done a lot of good for sure.
Can you guys? I don't have my comms in. So are we seeing YouTube and Facebook there, or Andy, or is that just YouTube? Because there's quite a few comments. Like we just gotta say good morning to some people.
We gotta address some of these.
John Beckett said good morning. He's in Ohio. Paul Benson, Jordan Meadows on. Lonnie Mezar.
What about Sauce Daddy? Is Sauce
Brian
Daddy
Tesh, Jacobs on. Goss. And what do we got here? We got some comments. You guys want to address some of these?
Yeah, so Sauce Daddy says, big tournaments will allow you to use forward-facing sonar, but not an A-rig. Shake my head. What's your take on the A-rig in bigger tournaments, Kyle?
The A-rig thing is so stupid.
I mean, if anybody doesn't know, if there's an A-rig question, like...
First of all,
Kyle's like the authority on it.
First of all,
everybody wants to know.
If you need swim baits for your A-rig, pretty sure we got a couple swim baits for you.
And I think there's actually still some in Kyle's cup holder. They're still sitting in there, right?
To talk about answer Jacob's question is, there's so much controversy in tournament fishing with the Alabama rig. It goes back to this forward-facing sonar being an advantage or not.
Yeah.
Is it an advantage? Yeah, it's a tool. Everybody has the right to use that tool.
Mm-hmm.
For some of these bigger league tournaments to not allow it is just absolutely stupid.
Mm-hmm.
If there's, like, the state of Minnesota does a really good job with their regulations.
They're strict.
They say this is the only way you can use it. Wisconsin, not so much. It is there's definitely gray areas there. But as a tournament angler, when I start that tournament, I know if I get a ticket, I'm disqualified.
Right.
For most tournaments.
Right. So why would you gamble?
It's your choice.
Right.
Let them use it. If this DNR warden says this is right and lets it go, and the other one doesn't, guess what? You drew the short straw. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. So what big formats don't allow it?
All of them.
Really?
Bassmaster don't allow it.
Does MPFL allow it?
I think MLF might be allowing it now in the like the Toyotas or whatever they're calling. They changed everything up this year. Bassmaster does not. NPFL does not. I mean, we do with Wisco because exactly what I just said.
Right.
It's stupid.
You would think too, like with those tournaments that live stream, Like if a dude reels up 3 freaking bass at one time, how BA is that footage?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Or whatever you're allowed in that state. If you got all 5 hooks on that sucker and you're catching 5 bass at one time.
In Minnesota, or in Wisconsin, or sorry, Michigan, you can throw 5.
Right.
You can have 5. I choose not to because I feel like I'm better tuned with it with 3, but it's my choice to use it. If I get a ticket, I disqualify then.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
it goes back to
I
just being
have
smirked.
3 different DNR wardens' responses to the question. Screenshot it on my phone along with the regulations from the DNRs. So if I ever get stopped by a warden, I'm going to show them this and be like, please tell me what your take of this is.
Right.
Like, please tell me, so then you can text that to me and I'll screenshot it and add it to the list. Because Wisconsin is a state that it's not super clear.
Yep.
But as an owner of Wisco and as the tournament director of others, don't get a ticket. If you're scared to use it, don't use it.
Right.
But the guy next to you, don't penalize him or don't be mad at him because he beat you with it.
Right.
I fished a tournament down in Delavan this summer, and a guy had an A-rig this long. It had 137 blades on it. Like a ridiculous amount of blades. The guy handmade it. I don't think he won the tournament, but I watched him catch a pile of bass
I was gonna say,
right
did
in
he
front of
catch
me.
fish on it?
Really?
Yeah.
I guess why not? If they're in the right mood, yeah, they're gonna swipe at it.
That's crazy.
Congratulations, man.
Right, dude.
I'm an idiot for not thinking of
Well,
that.
that's the innovation
Right?
and the part of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I mean that's never gonna stop. Like
Right.
it's like swatting a mosquito, right? There's always gonna be another idea or somebody out there that wants to try to find a loophole or try to push
And in the
boundaries
tournament
with it,
world,
right?
There's always going to be gray area.
Oh, man.
I mean, do we
It's a
want to talk about
competitive
Travis
edge,
and the
dude.
ladder?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was just gonna say,
like
is the
he
ladder
read
talking?
within them rules
Yep.
what he thought was right, ended up not being. But that's a chance he took, right?
Right.
The A-rig thing is just dumb. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with any tournament circuit not allowing it. That's just my opinion.
Is it in a way it's not much different than like a jerkbait with 3 hooks on it? I mean, it's the same kind of world, right? You're just
But with a jerkbait with 3 hooks, you can still use 2 more lines.
right.
Yep.
Right. That's
I mean, I don't know about that. I
If
think
you wanna talk
that's
about-
one profile, that's one bait.
yeah, but you've caught 2 bass on a crankbait before.
Oh, yeah, and jerkbaits.
Yeah, I mean, it's just-
it's possible.
It is. It's you know what? If it's legal in your state, do it.
That's right.
Right.
That's
If
right.
if it's something it really, a lot of this conversation goes back to your confidence, right? If you're confident without a forward-facing sonar, by all means, man, you can beat anybody out there in the water if you just know how to read the water. Maybe that's also crippling some younger anglers in a way because they're not learning old school techniques of reading water.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, when you're driving a boat on the Mississippi River and you can't identify a wing dam because it doesn't show up on your graph, well, that's not learning old school techniques, right? Like, you know, we have all these advantages with Onyx mappings and all this other stuff, but are you really learning to read the terrain, or is it making you read the terrain better?
There isn't one bait that is a catch-all, be-all, end-all in fishing. There's not.
No.
I mean, anybody that was involved in fish, tournament bass fishing in Door County or just fishing smallmouth in Door County at all through the, mid 2000s to 2015 knows a black hair jig this big would outfish anything up there.
Right.
Can't get bit on that SOB anymore.
Yeah.
Fish got educated. So what seemed like was going to kill that fishery and every bass is going to eat it is gone.
Done.
There's guys I know that have won hundreds of thousands of dollars on that thing that don't even bring it with them anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So there's not an end all be all. And if it's within the rules of the state, just
do it.
just let it be.
Oh, by the way, Vicky Valentine.
Valancourt.
Oh, Valancourt. That's what it is. Valancourt.
Okay,
Yeah,
so, We
Valancourt.
just tuned into the beginning. of it,
Yeah.
like,
I was watching, bro.
that's just
What other questions we got on there that we didn't address?
Let's see here. So Danielle, good morning, Danielle. Tim Myers watching. Caleb's on. Corey Heiser's on. My mom, yes, Mom, I made it to work. She was concerned about me this morning.
Maddie.
What do we
Matt
got
needs
here?
Tires on his car.
That sack lunch is sitting in the fridge right
Actually, it's funny you say that. She made me a text. I had to stop there this morning.
Yep.
There's a long story, but I just.
I'm not gonna make it to Quick Trip.
What is Andy? What's that comment? Can you roll back up? I think it's Daryl Kubley's comment. Yes, Eagle River, no graphs. Do you know what he's talking about on that one?
That
Yeah,
was what kicked it off. I think was the muskie circuits, right?
Well,
In Eagle River.
oh really? That's where it was. I'm just assuming it's from when Daryl won the Wisco event this year because he was fishing dirt shallow and super
it's
close to the
useless
ramp, so he
anyways.
never turned his graphs on. I'm assuming.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I assume he's saying, but you could be right.
You're probably right. I was thinking he was talking about forward-facing sonar. I thought from what I remember, that was the biggest
There's
the biggest upset in the industry is when I think some muskie tournaments.
Yeah,
decided to
they
ban
outlawed it. Yep.
Yep, and I thought that happened in Eagle River, but maybe not.
In that scenario, if you're going to outlaw forward-facing sonar, you have to outlaw side imaging too.
Right.
I mean, side imaging is
Right,
in
we're-
360 is just almost, if you know how to read what you're looking at, how to process what you're looking at, it's just as good of a tool as live scope. You just can't see the fish swimming in a direction. That's all it is.
Yep.
Right.
Only difference. So if you're going to outlaw one, you need to just not have graphs on the boat and let people hit every rock pile in the lake.
Yeah. To what end with some of this stuff? But.
Is Scoot's comment there? Do you really have an A-rig in your truck right now?
I probably do, to be honest. I'd have to dig through the center console, but I know there's baits in there for it.
There is baits in
I
there.
haven't been there a while.
Yep.
But there's probably, there might not be one in there.
You don't have a Shane's or what's the new one down the diamond stuff? Yeah.
6 cents.
Yeah, there's so many, and just to talk that technology too. Like 3-4 years ago, there was maybe 5 A-rigs out there. Now there's hundreds of them.
Yep.
So I have a topic. Maybe I want to talk a little bit about some of the phone calls we made yesterday. I thought that was really, really awesome. And so what we're talking about is we obviously here at Fix, we do proficient angling. Kyle did one. We released that one. Gary's is coming forth.
Gary's is dropping soon.
Gary's, so MPFL champ, AOI champ, Gary Atkins is dropping. So what we're doing is, what is?
I have a topic that Todd Martins just commented, but it will be after this one.
Well, I just want to say, from the anglers that we talked to last night about getting some filming done, I think it's a pretty stacked ice lineup that's going to be coming forth from Fix.
We're going to have some pretty awesome ice fishing shows coming through Proficient. If you're looking to learn from some of the top ice fishing guys, I had a conversation with Greg Karch last night. He's in as well. He's super excited to do one. You're going to learn some stuff.
Yeah, and that's one thing. If nobody knows really about Proficient or they haven't checked it out yet, so the idea behind that and what we're building all these shows to be is to give people a more in-depth look at how to become proficient at fishing.
Correct.
So that's what the name comes in or whatever. So, I mean, if you're looking to learn new techniques and talk to people that have done well and have a pedigree or resume in this stuff, this is a great show to tune into and check out. So
absolutely,
yeah, and that well, and that's kind of like what we're kind of goes back to the start of this whole conversation is with the graphs and all that stuff. Some of these anglers that we got lined up are absolutely 100% going to show you how to really use that stuff. You talked about learning how to use it on your own on your boat. The big question is well, how do I read certain things under the ice?
Yeah.
And when I went last year with Vince Heatree and we fished a lot of late ice stuff together for the Guided Life, we were there and Ben showed us how he didn't use it to find fish. He used it to find the weeds.
The weeds.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
The last remaining green weeds in that lake. And he said, when I learned to read the weeds, the good, healthy weeds, that just put me on fish.
Right.
We were in such thick weeds in that area, your graphs are virtually useless.
Yep.
Because the weeds were dang near to the top of the ice. I mean, you got to think about it. That's March when the ice is going fast. We were nervous hopping off the ice that day because it was melting so quickly from the shoreline. But Ben did a really nice job of showing us there. That's how I noticed them. And then before I noticed this patch, it was that patch out there,
Yep.
So that's where I think the proficient part of this is really going to be awesome because now you're going to learn open water and you're going to learn the ice. And the one that I'm really stoked is going to be filmed starting January, February one. I think that's never really been done. That sturgeon one we're going to line up.
Oh, yeah.
That's never been done in this that I've really seen. Mm-hmm. And you're going to learn why. Why is it such an addiction for some of these guys? Yes.
Not just the cutting in and, staring down a hole for hours. It's the whole process of, like you just said, the addiction of that.
Right.
Of that sport.
To me, when I think of it, I'm like, I'd like to try it once in my life just to see what it's really all about. But like after that, I'm like, ugh.
So I have a confession, right? So I grew up in the sturgeon capital of the world, Stockbridge, right? So
Yep.
I mean, we used to get days off of school to go sturgeon spearing.
Sturgeon capital of the world.
Oh yeah, it's on the water tower for
Dang.
sure. Yep. So I mean that.
Is that? Do you put that in your resumes? Like I'm Lance Kozik from the Sturgeon Capital.
Yeah.
Hey, look at the asshole Kyle's on. If I can say asshole on here, Kyle Maury. Kyle.
If you can say it or if you did say it.
I don't know. I don't know if I can say asshole on here or not. So.
Yeah. Well, there it goes. But anyways.
I can't believe you said asshole on here. That's crazy.
What's the timestamp? 9:40. Well, we got 42 minutes of good, clean conversation in there.
As soon as I walked in, he called me a bitch, I thought.
Daryl Kubley brought
It's
up.
snowballing. It's
Daryl Kubley
Thanks
brought up a
everybody for
point.
tuning in today.
I like that.
We'll see you next.
I don't know if you can scroll, Andy, through the comments. Go back to Daryl's comment about co-anglers bringing live scopes with them.
Yeah.
In Wisco, you don't have co-anglers, so you don't have that problem.
What you gonna do?
But you think about the BFLs, right? Or any tournament circuit that has pro co. Why wouldn't the co-angler bring
Right. So this is a
bring
topic
with them?
that's never been brought up to me before. But if I'm gonna take my time and go out on a boat and fish with somebody who may or may not like me at all,
Right.
like I'm gonna want to make the most out of it, right? I'm gonna want
Right.
to like be able to see what's going on and be engaged in it. And I just don't want to be backboarded all day. Like,
Well, and if you are, at least you're making yourself more efficient by
Yep.
knowing what you're throwing at
Right,
the back
for
of the
sure.
boat.
Right.
So, hey, I would give that co-angler credit to bring it. The one thing I would say as a boater is when I'm ready to go, you better have that thing over the side.
oh yeah, I
That's
was just gonna
true.
say that you don't want all that extra stuff.
If your life jacket's on and that thing's still hanging over the side,
Right.
may be.
Well, and like you're not
that'd
going
be
to
such
courtesy
a
that guy and be like,
dick
hey,
move.
we're going to move in like 3 casts.
Right.
Or are you? You know, that's
Well, then you got to worry on a bass boat too. Like, how is that guy going to mount that pole back there? Like, if he scratches your boat,
Yeah.
is he going back to the ramp with you at the end of the day, or like, if he's damaging your stuff? Like,
That's the one
probably
thing,
a real thing.
I mean, we could have a whole conversation of this about co-anglers and bring in some guys that don't fish that type of stuff anymore just because of that reason, where stuff gets damaged, stepping on seats, rips seats, hooks in seats, and whatever, cigarette burns from carpets, and
Yep.
that a lot of them, I shouldn't say a lot, but there's more good than bad in my experience with it.
Yeah.
But the bad definitely outweigh the good as far as perception.
Yeah, it's like anything in life. The bad things really get burned into
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
into
Like
your
cigarette
psyche,
burn.
right?
Yeah,
Like cigarette
my
burn,
my
right?
dad did that to me once. We're fishing and it was rough. Like he's not real good on his feet when in the rough water. He doesn't really like it. And he's burning darts. He was a Marlboro Red smoker. And
oh yeah.
I felt the boat move and I turn around and look and he like went down to his knee to catch himself. And I see the cigarette fall out of his mouth. I'm like, you want to pick that up? It burnt a hole in the back deck. Like, how do you get mad at your dad about that? I mean,
Yeah.
I'd rather him burn the hole in the carpet than fall in the water. I guess.
I
Correct.
think that's what they say. The analogy, it all comes full circle.
It does,
I'm sure you
right?
pick up and like,
Yeah, absolutely.
like what
Yeah.
did you
Absolutely.
mess up of his, like,
Yeah,
10 years, 15, 20 years ago, whatever.
There's nothing he could do that would make up for all the shit I put him through. So
Yeah, you might as well put,
that goes for
put another
all of
one.
us.
Maybe some of it was on purpose, you know what I'm saying? He's like, he probably fell, but he's like, drive slower! Burn me, damn kid.
Oh, I could never get through to him.
What was that other topic you had?
Todd Martins brought up talk about how much you love kayak fishermen.
How much you love kayak?
No,
Or
he
you
loves
do?
it.
So
What's wrong with kayak
Wisco, we tried to expand into a kayak division.
Yep.
And I mean, when we did it, very naive to kayak angling.
Yep.
Very naive. I talked to Todd and I talked to some other guys, and holy shnikes, are them guys passionate about kayaking.
Oh, yeah.
We should bring Wilbur in on this conversation.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I respect the kayak anglers fully.
Mm-hmm.
Like you guys, it is definitely a sport out there now, and they're earning their right to be there, in my opinion. Right?
Yep.
Not that they never did have the right to be there, but man, some of these guys to deal with at the beginning we were doing that were just.
It's a complete different ball game fishing out of kayak. Like that was my first like vessel, so to speak, is I had
Right.
a kayak and I used to take it with me to college and fish around all these guys in Oshkosh and up and down the river and stuff. And like it's definitely a slower paced way to fish. I mean, if you want to talk about like methodically going through something, like if you make a wrong choice, you're not hammering down and going 60 to the next spot. You're paddling your butt like at no miles an hour.
Well,
you know, like trying to make the most efficient trip that you can possibly have with a kayak.
And if you want to talk about technology, I mean, there's kayaks out there now that have spot lock, trolling motors. They have full graphs on them.
Side imaging.
I mean, what's true to kayaking then? Is it paddle? Like, is that the way it should be, or is it?
Well, just the kayaks themselves. I mean, now they have, like you said, spot lock. They have electric motors. They have, you know, there's disadvantages to it. And man, I fished a tournament on the Wolf River this year. And I had no idea there was a 300 kayak tournament out there. And every spot that I went, there was a kayak sitting on.
Right.
Every single one of them.
And you think about how much more stealthy potentially a kayak is. It's a lower profile. They can get in a little bit shallower water, so on and so
Much
forth.
shallower water than me.
Right.
You know, it's.
Oh yeah. You can,
If that's where the fish are.
yeah, you can beach it, right? Like have half of it sticking out,
Yeah.
but not like.
Yep. Well, you think about them small, skinny channels you can't get through with your bass boat. That kayak can do, you can just pick that thing up and get in that back little bay or whatever like that.
With that's up to the tournament though. Like if you're fishing a tournament, sometimes is it the same? Like you can't get out of your kayak and.
I would assume. I mean, our rules were that. Yeah.
It all depends. Like.
Right, but
what you're fishing.
Yeah, it's where do you draw the line then? Is it true? Like in your kayak division, when you tried it, was there any regulations on it?
Yeah, there was. I mean, that was the issue we had. Is there was 10 different rules that every different organization used, and we were wrong no matter what.
Yep.
Because this guy's coming from this group and he doesn't think you should be able to do that, and it's just
right.
I'll say this: to start that out from what we tried to do, I left with a very, very negative taste in my mouth of that group.
Huh.
It was actually ridiculous.
Okay.
It was no fun to deal with. Our first event, we had all these guys say they're showing up, so we didn't make them prepay nothing. So we set it all up. 6 guys show up, and I'm like, I'm done with this.
Really?
I don't have the time or the mind space to waste with this. And there is a lot of awesome kayak series out there now.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
we were just trying to offer something, you know, in the Wisconsin local area, along with, you know, hand to hand with the events we're already holding, right?
Yep.
So it didn't work out, but Josh, the guy Credidio, who I fish with, he's on the same line as me. Like if you're gonna spend 15 plus grand on a kayak, just buy a boat.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right. To each their own, but I mean.
Right. Teach your own. Right. That's exactly what it is.
That's what it is. Like you see people with fat tire bikes and road bikes.
How dare you ride that on the road?
You could buy a moped or a motorcycle. Like I mean, it just depends what you're into, right?
Well, that's a whole nother. I mean, we can just go about all these gray areas and the rules because, like, you know, with these electric bikes, you can't have the motor on some public grounds, but you could flip the motor off and pedal it, or you can do pedal assist, or all these kind of things, right? Like those.
Todd says we should do it again. Absolutely not.
Never again. Some of all this stuff is just what's wrong with the world. Like all these, you know, like it's kind of
Well, the thing that sucks is
you got an advantage. Like
the thing that sucked with it is we spent a lot of time, money, and effort into trying to build that.
Yep.
And all you ever hear is a negative, negative, negative. Where Todd was a huge supporter of it. Like he would have probably benefited immensely from it.
Is Todd a kayak angler?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a really good one. Todd couldn't catch a bass out of a bass boat, but once he got a kayak, he's right, Todd. That's his niche. Like he's really good at it. He's good at finding some backwater stuff, and he's doing very well in it. And you know, Jeremiah Bursch, another guy that from La Crosse that I deal with a lot with, you know, with Wisco and other things, is phenomenal kayak angler. Just a phenomenal anglers in general, but you know, they found that niche in that kayak.
And they fish like smallie events and walleye events and everything with those, like where you're like spot locking on a spot offshore and everything.
Well, you see the guys out on
the oceans catching sharks and stuff.
Trolling. I mean, they troll with them. Like they like Michigan. Like when I go on the tribs in the fall, like
there's that one guy that trolls out on Lake Michigan with him. He wanted
out on the big water, but you see like kayakers outfish a lot of people in the fall, like in the tribs and Sheboygan and stuff. Like kayakers will outfish a lot of the guys in the boats casting cranks and stuff. Like
they got it. Scott says, I knew a guy that got a DWI on his e-bike. That is a thing, though. I think it's just,
How ridiculous, though. Like, unless you're being responsible at that point. Like, you're not getting behind. You're not getting in a car. Like,
Correct.
I don't know.
I know buddies that like went to like Point or something like that, and they said, they got tickets for riding their bikes home from the bars.
I mean, I guess there again, like if you really sit down and talk, there's somebody out there that has probably a good argument. Like,
right, you swerving out on the road or just or something like that. But it's
My sister-in-law says favorite Christmas movie.
Favorite Christmas movie. So
I don't have one.
Christmas is coming up, right?
There's nothing
my
that
wife,
I put favorite in front of with Christmas.
my
so.
wife and I were in the basement the other night, and I don't know what we were doing, but we were like carrying something. down there.
oh, sure you don't
It's always got to go there. But anyway,
well, it's got to go somewhere.
He's eating a sandwich.
there we go. Anyway, so we hear this crash, and I'm like, what the hell was that? So I run upstairs, and we got an 11-foot tall Christmas tree, fell down, pine needles, sap everywhere, broken ornaments, just a mess. But our Christmas tree fell down the other night.
Really?
Don't know how. Was Remy upstairs?
Oh, he was the first one up there.
But he was downstairs by you.
He was downstairs with us. Yeah, I mean, he could hear a pine needle fall off that tree. He'd go out there and run to it. But when that thing crashed, we all ran upstairs, and of course, there's broken stuff all over the place. And he's 7 pounds of like making my life miserable, like little dog, and he's running through all of it. I'm like, you're gonna get glass in your feet. You're gonna be all full of sap.
I'm not taking you to the vet.
Right, and then of course you like get down, like you're like doing stuff on the ground, and he's in your face. Like it was just miserable, and then we had to decorate the tree twice. And
so that leads to what's your favorite Christmas movie?
well, that's just you said that, and that happened
what came up?
recently. Yep,
It's a Christmas memory.
It is. I'm not gonna forget that for a while, and just a pain in the butt.
Did you ever figure out why I fell?
I was being cheap, so I didn't get the right size stand for the Christmas tree. I was just using what I had, and I kind of screwed the. So like on the Christmas tree stand, sometimes they have those little like nuts at the end of it.
Yep.
To give you more surface area to dig in. Well, I don't know what mine was, so I just pegged it, but whatever. But
Yep.
I don't know. Too much water. Maybe the pine got soft. I don't know. But she tipped over.
My buddy showed me his new Christmas tree stand, and it's really, really nice. It's like a box platform, but then it has a pedal. And you just hit the pedal, and all arms come together at one time. They're all like cabled together, and then it pinches the tree. Because I have the same one at home, and mine's actually worse, where it's like got an arm that sticks up like this, and you got to get this arm to come in and this arm to come in. And
well, and the issue with one of mine is so many years of tightening it.
Yeah.
Like the bolt or whatever was seated in there funny, so one of them like comes down at it and like wedges it and tries to tip it over. So it's a real thing. I shimmed it up. I don't know. It might be down when I get home again. I don't know.
Did Andy say what if he has a favorite movie?
Bet you it's Elf.
Elf is you got to be your go-to for most.
That or Home Alone.
I see.
I thought it was funny, like my Mandalorian joke the other day. Like, is there like a Mandalorian Christmas movie out there that you and your family are into? If
Not that I've seen.
Die Hard.
There might be like a fan-made
Die
one
Hard's
somewhere.
probably a good
All you
classic.
gotta do is put a Santa hat on and it's Christmas.
I guess, right?
So we were watching Home Alone, and I know your wives are gonna get mad at me. I don't understand why that's a Christmas favorite. I guess I don't get.
Because it happens during the holidays.
I guess, but I don't.
Die Hard.
Like I'm watching that one, and I'm like, I don't.
It's just a
Like,
feel good holiday movie. Like this kid doesn't want to spend time with his family around Christmas, and then he realizes he gets all this into all this trouble, and then at the end of it, they're all like, oh, this is wonderful.
Feel good family movie. Mom and Dad forget them in Chicago, Illinois.
Yep.
But I don't understand that one. Die Hard that's a classic, Travis.
That's one I always forget about. That's a Christmas.
That
movie.
is a Christmas
That
movie.
is a Christmas movie.
Yeah. I would, if I had to pick one, which is like twist my arm, it would be Elf, probably for sure.
Yeah, Elf has got. I think for our generation,
That's the movie.
Besides Home Alone, I mean,
National
Home Alone
Lampoons.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many quotes that come out of that movie.
Yes.
Yep.
What's the old school one? Is it like?
A Christmas Story.
Yeah, that one. Shoot your eye
There's
out
3
with
of
that
those.
thing.
What was that, Andy?
There's 3 of those now.
Oh, okay, 3 of them. Yeah, I'm not up to date on all.
Yeah,
those.
Melissa was watching the latest one. I had to leave. That was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
The Christmas Story, the latest one. He's all grown up.
Oh,
Oh.
They tried way too hard.
Yeah.
What's the old school black and white one where it's like every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings?
What is that called?
That Miracle on 30? No.
Nope. What is that one called? It's a.
That's an
What a
old.
Wonderful Life.
Wonderful, yeah,
Is it something like that?
yeah, something like that.
I don't know.
Can we Google it?
But
Does
it's-
Andy know how to Google stuff?
Yeah, it's
If only
black.
we had technology to look that up.
There you go.
Google.
It's a
What's the
Wonderful Life.
movie that
It's a
says
Wonderful
stuff?
Life.
All right.
It's
We were told.
we gotta start wrapping this up.
Is it getting to be that time?
Do you wanna talk about what's going on tonight?
Yeah. So tonight, if people that have not seen yet, we're doing a special holiday shop-a-thon. So we're gonna keep the store open a little bit late, have some fun. We're gonna be running around looking at the product, checking out the changes to the store, about how we got the shelf stocked up, and I mean, it's really looked the best it's have in a long time. Like, it's impressive out there. You go out in the store, we got a lot of stuff.
If you're in the need for Kitech, come check it out.
Yeah, Kitech is a point of conversation, which is, it's impressive. It looks pretty cool. But anyways, we're doing that shop-a-thon. It's going to basically be, we're going to run around the store, take a look at this stuff. If people are interested in products, you know, we want that conversations to start happening. Our hopes, it's turning into a big party. So if we get 50 people on the live stream tonight, we're going to be giving away some gift cards. If we get 100, we're giving away some gift cards. If we go above and beyond that, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll leave it up to you, Matt.
I think we should get 1,000, give away $1,000 gift card. I think Brian would love that.
If we get 1,000 people,
I want to just, before we like end it, is this Kyle saying that because he just doesn't understand the
Yeah,
conversation?
it's over his head.
Probably stubbed his toe on his sandals or something like that.
This is like
Ziggers.
the 5th comment I got about my beard. Like, why is everybody so infatuated? Literally another message.
Are they decent ones or not?
Yeah, they're all surprised I have a beard. I don't know.
You've always
I had a beard for like
a billion
last
years.
15 years.
That
I just let it go. This is the Mexico beard, I call it. From September until I go to Mexico, I don't shave it.
I think you should do like handlebars.
Christmas movies suck.
Last year when I shaved it, I don't remember what I did. I walked out of the bathroom like, what do you think, Melissa? She's just like, go back in there.
Go back in there. Like I try to do that stuff, and it takes people. They got to get like Matt doing a live close to me. They're like, "Oh yeah, you do have a mustache." I'm like, "Yeah, I worked hard on it. I've been growing it out for like a month."
Tim Myers says you look Amish.
Okay.
Swinging a mish.
That was quick.
Swinging a mish.
Yeah, so that starts at 5 tonight, right? 5 the shop-a-thon.
Yep. So just join the fun. Check out what
Yeah,
we're doing. We got
just primarily Facebook, right?
well, it's gonna be Facebook. We'll stream it to Fixed TV. So if anybody, if anybody's a Fixed TV subscriber, we encourage you to kind of
If you're in the
check
area and
that
you
out.
want to come over, check it out too. Come on in.
Yeah, we're having
We're open till 6.
adult beverages.
We're going to.
We're going to.
It's a
Is
quick
that
trip
what
right
your
down the
mom-
road.
Is that what
Yeah,
your
so
mom-
mommy packed me an adult beverage for the road this
She's like,
morning.
yeah, you're staying late
Here,
tonight,
honey, the
dude.
roads are slippery. Just go ahead and
Is
have
it a
this.
spiked
This is
5-hour energy?
It's cold out there, just a little warm.
More, little dip.
Little nip will do. Anyways, again, we digress. But yeah, so shop-a-thon, tune in, Facebook. We'll throw it up on Fixed TV. It's gonna be a good time. So we have a lot of sales going on right now too for the holiday. So shameless plug. I'll throw that out there. Hop on at therealshot.com or stop in the store and say hi to the guys. Everybody's in full holiday swing here, getting the store looking good. So yeah, that's
Perfect.
Kyle
pretty
Murray
much
says I'm trying to be like Travis Goss. This ain't ginger, boys.
This is the real deal, Holyfield. Well, no, you guys did a great job filling in. I think I kind of lost my job with you guys doing this one.
No, Matt, you're safe.
I think you're good. I
No.
think we talked about everything that we ever could. So
Yeah,
It was very entertaining. You did a very nice job.
pretty much. So yeah,
So we're back in here on Friday morning, right? 9 a.m.
Friday morning, 9 a.m.
Brian's feeling a little sick this morning, so he said that's why he wasn't in, and I had to take care of a couple things
That's
before I
going
can make it
around
in.
for a lot of people right
It
now.
is.
I don't like to see it this time of year, but
No.
every
what are
year.
you gonna do? So
But again, do you want to? I just let these people know that hey, man, we want topics. So drop them on Facebook, send us a message.
yeah, what Matt just said. we want
Echo.
topics.
Echo.
And honestly, anything's open for discussion. I know we're outdoors people, but we like to talk about other things too. So sports or current events or just something happening.
Christmas movies.
Christmas
Scott and I could have a
movies.
whole conversation about Formula One.
If anybody needs any marriage
I think-
advice, I've been married for a little over a year. I'm pretty good at it.
You got this stuff figured out. If you made it a year, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're over each
If
other.
you're ever looking for Lance, he's probably in his basement.
Or garage.
Yeah, or his garage.
or the garage. But no, I mean, really, pretty much anything's open for topic, and it's just a lot of fun. So if somebody wants to talk about something and join in, we would even do like if a local fan like was really into it, we'd probably invite him in and
Drive
sit
on
down
up,
with the
Kyle
coach,
Morey.
right?
Everybody would love to hear you talk.
I mean, I
Hang
think it'd be
on,
cool
okay,
like
fine.
to get Travis Goss in here and talk about what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's always doing some cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
that's-
Travis has got a lot
interesting,
going on too
Yep.
with his foundation, and
Yep.
it'd be cool to get Travis in here.
Well, I tried the other day. I thought Brian and Andy were going to go on a tangent about video gaming.
gonna
but
geek out?
Yeah, but it kind of didn't go much places.
Much places more than that.
More than what I was
places.
trying to do with that. So,
And ain't none going too much places.
yeah.
So-
Hey,
Talking about just random thought here. You talked about your Christmas tree falling down, just like ghosting falling down, right?
Yep.
My nephew and I we were moving out of a house, and I had my toolbox, and it's a giant. It's probably, I don't know, 5.5 feet tall, just a big toolbox. Me and my nephew are out in the trailer loading stuff, and I hear this massive crash. I instantly look at him like, "What in the f did you just do?"
Oh, yeah,
Like he
your fault.
was 9 or 10 years old at the
yeah,
time.
like
I'm like,
he-
"What did you just do?" Like that didn't sound good.
Yep.
I go walking in the garage, and that toolbox is laying on its face, yard sailed across the whole freaking garage. There wasn't a tool left in the son of a bitch.
really?
It was
Just on its own.
just tipped over.
And so that probably weighs.
It sat in that-
weighs what 1,000 pounds.
Oh, easily. It sat in that spot in the garage for the 4 years I lived there. I never moved it.
Sabotage.
And just that night, it decided to tip over, and it was up against the wall.
How?
Just ghosted. I no idea.
That's crazy.
So it's just a random thought of.
Do you still have the toolbox?
I do. I have bungee corded shut because it's
Yeah.
until I get the house built. It's sitting in a storage unit. I don't want to buy a new one and let it sit in the cold.
Right,
Just
let it
sit out
fall
there.
over.
So it's all none of the locks work on it. The drawers open on their own now. It's just
From that one fall?
it's junk.
Really?
Well, good thing they're super affordable. I mean, you
Yeah.
can pick one up for what,
Yeah.
a couple thousand.
It wasn't cheap. I should have claimed it on homeowners while it's still there, but
Yeah. What
It's-
are you gonna do?
just a weird thing, that weird stuff that happens that, you know, I love that paranormal type stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm all into that, but that one struck a little. It's just funny how I instantly go to Logan, like, what did you just do?
Right.
Yeah.
I know you're standing next to me, but this is your fault, son.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you just
Yeah,
do?
it's like
That's why you're not his favorite uncle.
that's gotta be it. Like,
That one day. All right, let's wrap her up
all right, sounds
for the
good.
second time.
Sign it off, Matt. You're the only one that knows how to do this.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe on our YouTube channel, all that great stuff. Go check out Fix TV. The Gary one's coming out yet this week. So
Yet
if you're
this
not a
week.
Fix TV subscriber, the big thing about that is you're helping support us. And in turn, you know, we're going to be able to give you more and better content.
Yep.
If anything,
Exciting things happening.
a lot of exciting things happening.
sure.
Yep. So we'll see you Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.